Hi, my name is Cassandra Trotter, and I'm a business management specialist with the GSA Center for Charge Card Management. I would like to welcome you all to the 2022 GSA SmartPay Forum and the Travel Management Essentials course. I have been with GSA for 34 years and have had experience as a cardholder, approving official, and program manager. Now that I've shared a little bit about myself, let's get to the training. You may hear me say this more than once during the training, but nothing I say here supersedes anything in your agency policy. This course is general and entry-level in nature because each agency has their own specific travel card policy. Over the years, one form or another of this course has been given since the beginning of SmartPay 1. The course has changed some, but the foundation of running your GSA SmartPay travel card program stays the same. This course focuses on the basics of program management, the GSA master contract, legislation that impacts the travel card, and some key players involved. We are going to take a high-level look at the entire travel card program, which in turn means that this course is general in nature. You should make sure to familiarize yourself with your agency policy. The numbers in this slide represent the overall picture of the travel card program. These numbers are for fiscal year 21. If we were to take a look at past years, you would see that the travel card program represents a healthy portion of the program with both transactions and numbers of accounts. The travel card spend cannot be dismissed, but you can see from these numbers that it just doesn't compare to the purchase card program. If we were to compare the numbers with fiscal year 20, you will see that there has been an increase in spending from the previous years, and that decrease was due to COVID-19 and travel restrictions. There has been a definite impact to all involved in the travel field, and agencies are seeing less in rebates because of the decrease in spend. We are finally seeing an increase in travel so far this year due to travel restrictions being lifted and more people starting to travel, and we expect to see increased numbers throughout the rest of the year. I had a lot of comments last year about this section of legislation and policies, and I know it's not the most interesting part of the presentation, but it is important. The travel card program and legislation are closely related. We're going to spend a few minutes on legislation that affects the travel card program. And you don't have to write any of this down because this presentation will be on our website if you need to take a look back at it. First, we're going to talk about local travel. Local travel is considered official travel when the individual is performing official duties in and around the area of their permanent duty station. We hear sometimes that the Federal Travel Regulation, or FTR, does not address local travel. The GSA SmartPay contract takes this into consideration and has added language to ensure the use of the travel card is possible for local travel, provided that your agency policy allows for that. Many agencies have created policies that allow the travel card to be used for local travel. Some key areas for review can be found in the FTR for civilian employees, the Joint Travel Regulations for DoD civilian employees, and the Foreign Affairs Manual for Foreign Services and U.S. Department of State. Now we're going to talk about the OMB A123 Appendix B. The circular was updated in August of 2019. Some key updates to the travel card program that are included in the circular updates are: there's a breakout of the travel card specific internal controls and additional internal control suggestions through things like data mining, data analysis, and business case analysis. In addition, the chapter on training has been updated to provide more specific training information for cardholders, program managers, and approvers. The training requirements were lumped together, and the update gave the opportunity to treat each business line and its stakeholders separately, so that the training requirements are clearly outlined and applicable. GSA has begun taking over the statistical reporting process for agencies by reporting the information directly to OMB on an annual basis. This alleviates the burden from agencies on having to report this information to OMB quarterly for CFO Act agencies and annually for all other agencies. Agencies will still need to provide a narrative report to OMB annually, on or before January 31st of each year. Many of the circular updates were made to include elements of Public Law 112-194, the Charge Card Abuse Prevention Act, which affects the travel business line less so than the purchase business line. Again, you can find all the requirements in the OMB circular. OMB Memorandum M13-21 provides supplemental guidance for implementing Public Law 112-194, which is the Charge Card Abuse Prevention Act. With respect to the travel card program, the memo points out the following aspects. To prevent an individual from being reimbursed for a bill already paid by the government, by ensuring that the agency officials who approve or settle official travel verify that charges paid directly by the government to the bank are not also reimbursed to an employee or to the employee's individually billed account. It's also to prevent the government from spending money on unused tickets by verifying that the agencies, either the Travel Management Center or Service or Commercial Travel Office, submits requests to servicing common carriers for refunds of either fully or partially unused tickets, and they also track the status of these tickets to ensure a resolution. The memo also is to deter employees' misuse of government cards by implementing penalties for charge card violations that are jointly developed by agency charge card management and human resource components. Penalties will include salary offset for instances of personal liability, and disciplinary actions for a cardholder or approving officials' illegal, improper, or erroneous purchase made with a purchase card, convenience check, integrated card, or travel card. Next, we're going to talk about the Government Charge Card Abuse Prevention Act of 2012. The purpose of this law is to strengthen internal controls around the card program. The law calls for risk assessments to be determined and performed by agency IGs. It also includes violation reporting for purchase card programs. The violation reporting is not required for travel or fleet cards programs at this time. OMB, in coordination with GSA's Center for Charge Card Management, developed Memo 31-21 to help agencies implement Public Law 112-194. When the circular revision was done in August of 2019, it now contains much of the same language found in the law for consistency and demonstrates the importance of managing your agency's card program efficiently and effectively. As mentioned before, agencies' IGs will conduct periodic risk assessments of agency travel card programs to analyze the risk of illegal, improper, or erroneous purchases. All executive departments and agencies are required to implement the Charge Card Act's required internal controls for travel card accounts. Travel and Transportation Reform Act of 1988, or Public Law 105-264. This law has been in place since GSA SmartPay 1, and some of you might be familiar with it. The law mandates the use of the government charge card when paying for travel or travel-related expenses. There are exceptions to the law which can be found in the FTR, but they are very limited. Some agencies have policies in place that require the use of the travel card when an individual travels 3 or more times a year, while other agencies mandate the use of the card no matter how many times you travel a year. You will need to check with your agency policy or an upper level supervisor to find out what the requirement is for you. The head of your agency or his or her designee has the authority to grant exemptions from the mandatory use of the government contractor issued travel card. Use of the travel card does not help agencies earn refunds. The use of the travel card does help agencies to earn refunds, so it should be encouraged for anyone traveling in accordance with your agency policy. Hang in here with me because we only have 2 more to go through. So now we're going to talk about the NDAA Title Fiscal Year 18 National Defense Authorization Act, also known as Public Law 115-91, saving federal dollars through better use of government purchase and travel cards. We will pay specific attention to reporting requirements in Section 1806C. This section references reporting requirements. It requires each agency to report their activities toward implementing the requirements of the title to OMB. Section 1806C requires OMB to summarize and consolidate the information and then submit the report to the Committee on Homeland Security, Governmental Affairs of the Senate, and the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform of the House of Representatives. This title addresses three primary issues for travel cards. The first one is how the agency is expanding the use of the data analytics. The second one is what the agency has done to improve information sharing. And the third one is how improper payments have been addressed by the agency. So in January, GSA provided a summary of reports that the agency submitted to OMB for review and comment. The summary report was the basis for the report to the House and Senate committees per the law. Overall, the report showed that agencies are working together to share information and expand the use of data analytics through this data management group, training, and this SmartPay forum. Agencies are also addressing improper payments through training and program oversight. This SmartPay forum is just one example of agencies working together in person and virtually with the banks to address improper payments. The final one we will talk about today is Public Law 115-34, Modernizing Government Travel Act. This act requires agencies to report information on travel and transportation expenditures, relocation, and the number of official government travel trips each agency takes. This law also paved the way for travelers to be reimbursed for TMCs like Uber and Lyft. Now that we've discussed the laws and regulations that play a part of the travel card program, let's take a look at the types of GSA SmartPay travel cards. The most common type of GSA SmartPay travel card is the individually billed account, or the IBA. IBAs may only be issued to federal employees or employees of tribes or tribal organizations. GSA SmartPay travel program provides account holders a means to pay for all travel and travel-related expenses. Cards are issued directly to the employees by the customer agency to be used to pay for official travel and travel-related expenses. IBAs may be used for local travel only if authorized by written policy of the agency or organization. The government reimburses employees only for authorized and allowable expenses. Account holders are directly responsible for all purchases charged to the IBA account and must pay the monthly billing statement in full by the due date. Payments can be made directly by the card holder, the agency, or in a form of split disbursement in accordance with agency policy. Standard cards. So we have standard cards with IBA, and they require a minimum credit score of 660. The standard cards also have higher credit and cash advances. Then we have restricted cards in IBA, and they're issued to individuals whose credit score is below 660 or if a credit check is declined. These cards also have lower limits and may not have cash advance options. Split disbursement is an effective tool to reduce delinquency and in turn helps with higher refunds to the agency. Split disbursements also provide for payments to be made by the agency on behalf of the account holders. At the account holder's direction and in accordance with agency policy, disbursement is split. The bank receives a direct payment by the agency of the account holder's specified claimed amount. The rest of the payment is disbursed to an account holder and their account or directly to the account itself. If your agency has not implemented split disbursement, it does require coordination with the bank so the proper payments are made by the government and properly posted to the cardholder's account. But you can work with your servicing bank on requirements and for more information. Moving on to centrally billed accounts or CBAs. Centrally billed accounts may or may not have plastic associated with them. Some accounts have card numbers but no plastic and are used for higher dollar travel transactions like airline tickets, train tickets. At GSA, I know we do not use our individually billed cards for airline tickets. They all go to a CBA account. With the CBA account, the government holds the liability and the government pays the banks directly for those charges that are placed on the CBA. Only authorized travel-related expenses may be placed on the CBA, just like the IBA. You should never use your government charge card for personal charges not authorized for government travel. Next, we have a tax advantage card. This is a new addition that came under SmartPay 3. The intent of this card is to maximize state sales tax exemption status of CBAs like lodging and rental cars. So this product combines the IBA or individually billed card and centrally billed account. It provides a means to obtain sales tax exemption automatically at the point of sale for rental cars and lodging charges. The CBA portion of the card will allow for tax exemption at the point of sale because the hotel and rental charges are diverted and paid directly by the agency, similar to a standard CBA account. Other charges, such as your meals and incidentals, remain on the card for the cardholder to voucher for and seek reimbursement from the agency, while in turn paying the bank directly or by split disbursement. The tax advantage card functions as both a CBA and IBA, but it's just all in one card. And GSA is constantly working with the hotel and rental car community to strengthen their knowledge of the tax advantage card, hoping to pave the way for this exemption process to be smoother. Virtual cards. So a virtual card is a card not present solution, and it's a mechanism to complete a transaction without having a physical card in place. So as the payment marketplace embraces more digital transactions, card not present solutions are becoming more and more common. The idea behind these cards is that there be a unique account number for every purchase tied back to an overarching number. It also allows you to assign different card numbers to different departments within your organization. The individual numbers also help with tracking since all of the accounts for individuals route back to the main office account. The GSA SmartPay program offers several different strategic payment solutions for agencies to consider. The first one is a declining balance card. So this type of card can be for a specific purpose or for a specified time period with a predetermined credit limit. So the credit limit can be reset as needed or set for a specific time, or it can just become inactive once the balance is depleted. Then we have ghost cards. A ghost card is an account number that is specific to an agency or an entity within an agency. The term card is a little misleading because there is not a need for a plastic card for the transactions. A ghost card allows for an agency to consolidate purchases to a single vendor under one account, aiding in reconciliation as well as transaction oversight. And I think we all are a little more familiar with like mobile payments. So mobile payments allow agencies to make secure payments utilizing a mobile device, such as your smartphone, at the point of sale. Essentially, a mobile payment is a version of a charge card loaded onto a mobile device so that the cardholder doesn't have to carry the actual plastic charge card. And then we have single-use accounts. Single-use accounts allow an agency to utilize a virtual account number for a single payment. Single-use accounts are a great option for agencies looking to expand contract payments through the Charge Card program. They allow agencies to make invoice payments to a specific vendor for a specific invoice, and then include controls to ensure that the vendor only receives the invoice amount. Next, we're going to move on to roles and responsibilities for managing your agency travel card program. Your agency must have at least one agency organizational program coordinator or AOPC. Often there are many of these individuals in the hierarchy, with the level 1 AOPC being at the highest department level, except for DoD, where level 2s are the department level. There are also card account holders and billing offices that are a part of the roles and responsibilities for managing your program. Each of these has their own roles and responsibilities. An AOPC probably has the biggest role, and they're actually a lot of times called the gatekeepers for GSA SmartPay program within each agency. Some may say that they're the most important steward in the agency. As an AOPC, you're responsible for account management and reporting and oversight. You will manage cardholder accounts, travel program, and promote the proper use of the accounts. You will also need to understand how to use available reports and tools to ensure that the travel card accounts are being used correctly. You're also the first line of defense for spotting fraud, waste, and abuse in the program. And as part of your role, you may also be involved in resolving travel account issues and working with account holders to manage disputes. And in some agencies, AOPCs also work to develop agency-specific account policies and procedures. Training is important for program coordinators to help them understand these roles and responsibility. GSA encourages you to get familiar with and understand your agency-specific program requirements and policies. Additionally, your issuing bank provides an electronic access system, or EAS, and a program coordinator guidebook to help you manage your program. So depending on your agency, you may be responsible for some of these activities, or you may be responsible for all of them. Now we're going to talk a little bit about approving officials. So approving officials are usually the supervisor to the account holder. The term AO, or approving official, may not even be used in your agency under the travel card program. But if you are reviewing and approving vouchers and looking at charges placed on the account, you're filling the role of an approving official. The approving official is responsible for ensuring that all purchases made by the account holders within his or her span of controls are appropriate and the charges are accurate. Purchases should not only be legal and proper, but also should be considered mission essential. Approving officials are essential because they can spot fraud, waste, and abuse while reviewing a travel voucher. And as an approving official, don't be afraid to ask questions from your traveler. If you don't understand something that is on the voucher, or the costs aren't adding up, or just anything, it's okay to ask the traveler for a little bit more information. Now we're going to talk a little bit about cardholder roles and responsibilities, and I realize that this form is not designated for cardholders, but many of us are not only card program managers, AOPCs, or billing officials, but we also probably hold a travel card. So let's talk a little bit about your responsibility as a cardholder. If you are a travel card holder, you're responsible for securing your travel card and only using it for official government travel and local travel when your agency allows it. You need to report any lost or stolen card to the issuing bank and your AOPC as soon as you realize that it's lost. Cardholders or account holders must submit a travel voucher to be reimbursed by the agency for authorized purchases. You must also pay your travel card bill in full by the due date, because GSA charge cards are non-revolving, which means they cannot have a balance on them and must be paid by the end of the cycle. The GSA SmartPay program is the government charge card program because no credit is being extended to account holders. As an account holder, you must take initial and refresher training as required by the OMB Circular A123 Appendix B or your agency-specific policy. Account holders must never use the GSA SmartPay card for personal use. If your agency allows you to use the SmartPay card for ATM use, for cash advances, then you can use them. However, the use of the card is encouraged over cash advances because your agency will not earn refunds based on a cash advance, and your agency earns refunds based on spend volume. Again, you must pay your travel card statement in full by the due date of that statement, because unpaid amounts will fall delinquent and they could result in your account being suspended or even canceled. And this last comment, just never write your PIN number on the back of your card. That's just not a safe thing to do. As you can see with this slide, that the banks have important responsibilities, which include paying the merchants, establishing accounts, and issuing the government charge cards. They also provide monthly billing statements to the cardholders. The banks provide AOPCs and approving officials with the ability to review monthly statements, payment history, and other account information through their online access system, or EAS. They can also help with audits and investigations if you need assistance with an audit or an investigation. Let's move into some best practices for travel card management. Sharing ideas amongst other AOPCs and other agencies is a great way to share information and get ideas that you might be able to use in your program. AOPC meetings and discussions with Dave for level 1 AOPCs is a great forum for asking questions and hearing how other agencies are handling your concern or maybe your issue. Again, discussions with Dave is for level 1 AOPCs only. Communicating with your cardholders is probably one of the biggest things. The best AOPCs communicate early and often with their account holders. So you might share some of the smart bulletins that we have and newsletters. They are all great tools for helping your cardholders keep up to date on any related information. Some agencies have frequently asked questions on their website or hold meetings with their cardholders. Orientation sessions or trainings on how to fill out a proper travel claim or voucher are other ways to help your cardholders. Whatever avenue you choose, it's just important for your cardholders to know where to go to get that information or who to contact when they do have questions. There's some more opportunities for increased savings. So this is a great opportunity to take a look at your program and look to see where you might have some additional opportunities for increased savings. You can talk to the banks and get ideas from them, and take a look at or subscribe to newsletters from Visa and MasterCard to see what is going on in industry. Being aware of the trends can help you find new and innovative ways of using the card or even using cardless accounts. You can also do this by ensuring that the cardholders are using the card anytime they travel. Not only is it required, but it can also help your agency to increase the refunds that you get, which can go directly back to meet your mission needs. Tax exemption savings. So GSA SmartPay does maintain a map of states and their tax exemption status on our website. We frequently reach out to the states to confirm their status is correct. While the Supremacy Clause of the U.S. Constitution does not allow the states to levy taxes upon the federal government, many states have found a loophole. And that loophole is because most states consider the IBA card to be used by an individual and not directly by the federal government, therefore making it subject to taxes. The Tax Advantage card is meant to alleviate this. However, it is still a fairly new product, and we are still learning as to how effective it will be. Tax exemption is important, but it's also not worth a confrontation with a front desk clerk at a hotel. It's just a good idea to have your travel card holders check our website before they travel to see what, if anything, is required for the state that they are traveling to. Our team does work with the hotel community to share information about the program, but it's not foolproof. While we do try to educate the hotel community on tax exemption and what forms, if any, are required, it does not always get filtered down to the front desk staff. So taxes can be tricky, and each state has a different policy and/or procedure and willingness to work with us. If you would like to learn more about taxes, please consider taking the forum course that my colleague Andrew Lee is doing on taxes. And I believe it's called GSA Smart Tax, and the number on it is GSA008. Abuse and misuse of the government charge card impacts performance and refund earnings potential to your agency. The one thing that can be helpful is training and more training. So ensuring that proper training is implemented so that your cardholders and any AOPCs below you are taking training and refresher training. It's hard to argue with a training certificate if your cardholder misuses the card. It's also important to emphasize proper use of the card and ethics. Consequences for misuse should clearly be stated in your agency policy. You can also take a look at Attachment C in the updated OMB Circular A123 Appendix B. It's a great place to look for definitions of misuse, abuse, and fraud, and some possible consequences. You will also need to work with your HR department if consequences are being considered. Be sure to monitor card activity and lower limits on cards that are not used frequently. This is something that you would have to consider depending on the card accounts that you're responsible for. And also, just be sure to manage any delinquencies quickly so that they don't get out of control and you run into the issue with cards being canceled or cards being suspended. This slide goes into greater detail about the training requirements found in OMB A123 Appendix B. AOPCs, cardholders, approving officials, are required to take training prior to their appointment or receiving a card. There are also requirements for refresher training found in the circular. Cardholders can take online training via the GSA SmartPay website, but this forum is a great place for AOPCs and approving officials to get training in managing your program. Some agencies also have their own agency-specific training that is required. GSA's Center for Charge Card Management offers free online training for AOPCs, AOs, and cardholders on the GSA SmartPay website. When you go to our site, if you're planning to take any training, you will need to register on our site because you cannot take a quiz without having an account set up. You'll also need to register on the site if you are just trying to run any reports, and level 1 AOPCs can run reports on cardholders. So one of the reports AOPCs can run is to make sure that everyone is up to date on their training requirements. If you ever get locked out, change agencies, get a new email address, or just forget what your login password is, please send us an email and we will be happy to help you. If you try to create a new account with a different email address, we cannot combine your accounts that you might have created before, which could possibly lead to you losing some previous information. So just send us an email and we'll be happy to reset your account or unblock you or change your password. We're going to talk a little bit about some bank reports that are beneficial for AOPCs to help manage your program. We will just go over a few of them here. There's an account activity report, and this report consists of summary totals for a reporting period by fiscal year, by card, and agency organization. This report is generally used at all levels to attain and manipulate any program data. Next is a declining authorization report, which is a report that shows that if your cardholders have attempted to use their card, but for some reason it was declined. It could have been for something they weren't authorized to purchase, something that exceeds their single purchase limit, their monthly purchase limit, or it could just be from a merchant that is blocked by the merchant category code. There's also a pre-suspension and pre-cancellation report. These reports are important and list travel accounts that are eligible for suspension or cancellation as defined in the master contract. It identifies account name, account number, status, whether it's going to be suspended or canceled, the date of that status, past due and past due information. So this report can be used for delinquency control. There is a transaction dispute report. This report lists all outstanding and resolved transaction disputes and includes all the information to identify, track, and obtain status of the dispute throughout resolution. It's a great report to help you manage disputes. One other report is a renewal report, and this report will list the accounts that are due to expire. And a lot of times this report is used by AOPCs to just flag expiring accounts. Now, these are just a few of the reports that are available to you, but if you go out and you see you don't see a report that works for you, you can also ask for an ad hoc report. But you can reach out to your issuing bank for help with ad hoc reports. I believe during the forum you can also attend any of the bank sessions too, and you can get more information on reporting. And again, a full list of reports is also available in the GSA master contract. You can also find a copy of that master contract on our website. This is just talking a little bit about account deactivation. It's important when managing your travel card program, so you may want to consider deactivating accounts that are not used often and reactivating when the individual needs to travel. Of course, some of these suggestions will not work for everyone, especially larger agencies, and also depending on the amount of card accounts that you manage. But AOPCs must close accounts as individuals leave the agency. In the next couple slides, I'm going to have some contact information to share with you. So the next few slides have some agency and bank contact information. These slides, along with the presentation, will be available on the forum website after the forum, so you don't have to try to jot any of this contact information down. First, this slide has the GSA SmartPay contact information and our social media sites. If you have any questions, the quickest way to get an answer is by sending us an email or visiting even our website for more information. We have information for AOPCs, cardholders, and program managers on our site. We can also unblock accounts, reset passwords, like I said before, change your email address, or just answer general questions. And again, nothing that we say here supersedes what your agency policy says. So it's always best to get familiar with your agency policy. Most of you probably already have these numbers, but here are the customer service numbers for the GSA SmartPay 3 master contract banks, Citibank and US Bank. If we were in person, we would take a few minutes to answer your questions in person. We've tried to keep up with your questions throughout the recording in the chat. If we did not get to your question, please don't hesitate to send us an email and we will be happy to help you. I want to thank you all for attending the Travel Management Essentials training course today. I hope that you've been able to at least take one thing away from the presentation to help you manage your travel card program, or at least give you some ideas for your travel card program. Just a couple final thoughts. Again, nothing I say here will supersede your agency policy. We also encourage you to familiarize yourself with your agency policy and the O&B A123 Appendix B. You will find a host of information in those policies. Also take the time to check out our website to find additional resources to help you manage your program. We will be sharing these slides along with the presentations after the forum. And again, I would like to thank you all for your time and hope that you enjoy the rest of your forum.